Hey BookTube, remember me? I used to make BookTube videos, and I know it's been a while, but I've been busy working, and then I come home and I play video games and sort of lounge about. It feels like I'm a teenager on summer break, but instead of having Mr. Freezy's at the Quickie Mart, it's bourbons on the back deck. And I haven't really read all that much for the month of June. 2 books, 2.5 tops, and it doesn't really plague me. I wouldn't call it a reading slump. Haven't been watching that much of BookTube either, so clearly I am the worst. But when you're doing BookTube on a regular basis, missing a week plagues you. But when you miss a month, it doesn't quite sting as bad, but it's like running. Eventually you have to commit to tying up your shoelaces, getting out there, and maybe just walking around the block. And so this is me walking around the block. So, hey, like I said, month of June, I didn't really do that much reading, and it doesn't bother me. I don't call it a slump. And they were 2 solid 3-star reads. I read On the Up by Shiloh Jones, and it's one of those books where you're chugging along and then suddenly it hits you and it feels like you've missed a really important plot point. There's a chapter that you may not have been fully conscious while reading, and it's that key that really will unlock the rest of the book for you. And right now you just sort of feel a little jumbled and sort of going through the motions, getting through those pages. Hopefully that it'll all resolve and make sense at a certain point. And in this book, it in fact does. But for a while there, I was just sort of set adrift. We have 3 different narrators. We have Jasminder Bansal, who is working for a large development organization. She's an aspiring journalist, and she's essentially going undercover to find out, well, she knows who killed her brother, and she's actually working for the man who probably put that hit out on her brother. We have Mark Ward, who is an Afghanistan war vet who's returned back to Vancouver, clearly suffering from PTSD, and is up to no good. And then you have Carl Blitzo-Reed, and this is where things start going off the rails. He's in green investment firm. He heads up a green investment firm, and he's clearly an ex-hippie, does a lot of drugs, and talks to his pig. And the thing is, that pig talks back to him, and this is where I completely lost the thread. It's Douglas Copeland meets Hunter S. Thompson. And I get it, he has a really stylistic way of writing, but I just didn't quite gel with it. I'm just sort of missing the beat here. It's like I'm clapping on the 1 and the 3, but I do have to admit it introduces us to Vincent Peale, who is probably my favorite character you love to hate. Vincent Peale is a nouveau riche, new money douchebag who's busy shredding waves and tearing up the backcountry on his mountain bike. He epitomizes the worst of Vancouver moneyed millennials, I guess. He's essentially what we Ontarians think of when we think of those who live in Lotusland or Vancouver. Anyway, it did gel, like I said, later on in the book, and it sort of resolved at this nice crystalline point, and it all made sense, and it all, resolved and tied up nicely, and it was fairly satisfying. But that first half, I missed the beat somewhere. And then I finished Tim Werkis's Infinite Future, and if you thought 3 narrators was difficult, it's got nothing on this one. It is Tim Werkis who is talking to a college acquaintance who hands him off a manuscript. He's been translating a Brazilian sci-fi author, Eduardo Salgado Mackenzie, and he, along with 2 other Salgado Mackenzie fanboys, are trying to find a lost manuscript. The last half of the book is in fact that Salgado Mackenzie manuscript, which is about a futuristic galactic historian lesbian nun who is writing the history of Irina Sertorian, which is a recurring character in Salgado Mackenzie's sci-fi works. And it goes on from there, and it is a little convoluted, but trust me, it does in fact make sense. It's really a story about interpretation, not only as the reader interpreting the text as you read it, but interpretation that happens with translators, as well as people of faith interpreting their texts. We have 2 opposing viewpoints of the Mormon faith that are sort of examined in this story as well, and it has added relevance in this Me Too moment, where you have a lot of Christians, different sects of Christianity, pushing back against the idea of the wife must submit to the husband. There's cases where women have been told by their ministers or their pastors to stay with their husband despite it being a clearly abusive relationship, and how hard that struggle is to resolve that issue on both sides. There is also the idea of interpreting history and historical figures, as well as interpreting fictional works in a sort of a religious mindset. It brings to mind the works of L. Ron Hubbard, for example, and Scientology. Anyway, there's a lot in there to unpack, but still a 3-star read for me. And really, it could simply be because I'm just not really devoted to reading. I'm sort of getting snippets here and there. I still haven't really found a routine yet. And that is not going to change. I'm off to a conference all of next week. Fortunately, it's only in Toronto, so I don't have to go away too far. But these things are just wearying and all-day events. In the meantime, I'm hoping July is going to be a little bit better as far as reading goes. We are in our Discord group that I've talked about before, doing a buddy read on Salman Rushdie's The Satanic Verses. If you'd like to join us, come on by, even if you just want to lurk. I've never done a buddy read like this using an application already in place, so I'm excited to see how Discord manages something like this. And we're in good hands. Michaela, who will be moderating this particular book club or read along, has been doing online book clubs for well over 5 years. So I put a lot of faith in her ability to sort of usher us along. We've just started. I'm enjoying it so far, but we'll see exactly how this online book club on Discord works. Come by, join us. There will be a link down below. But in the meantime, I don't know. That's pretty well it. Back to video games, periodic reading. Tell me what you've been reading that you've been enjoying. Otherwise, I hope you're enjoying the summer. Stay hydrated, keep reading, enjoy a good read, and we'll hopefully talk to you soon. Bye.